again. We crown two state champions as six-man football takes over the largest venue on earth. In Mesquite, DeSoto had defending state champion Allen on the ropes. Down 15 with 8:37 to play. What happens next? It's deja vu all over again as Katy and Cedar Hill look to meet in a rematch of last year's title game. We got an all-East Texas final in 3A as Carthage and Kilgore both show take it to the promised land. We break it all down next on Fox Sports Southwest. Welcome into Scoreboard Live. Rick Renner alongside the most influential man in high school football, or your money back, Craig Way. Crazy weekend with fantastic finishes and defending state champions that never give up no matter how much they're down, as we finally know who's going to the 11-man state championship games, which will be broadcasted live on Fox Sports Southwest Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
The one thing that is standing out about these games to me, Rico, over the weekend is the fact that you saw some old faces and some new faces, and you had teams trying to push through that wall. One of those teams was Wall, trying to push through and get to a state championship game for the first time, and we saw some of it happen, and then we saw some of the status quo hold up as well.
So close, yet so far. Well, the game of the day in 5A Division I. Rematch of last year's state semifinal between #1 Allen and DeSoto, two nationally ranked top 10 teams. Allen has won 25 in a row coming in and led by Gatorade Texas Player of the Year, Kyler Murray, who's thrown for 3,000 and run for 1,000. But they have DeSoto, who's led by TCU-bound Desmond White, who's thrown for nearly 4,000 and ran for 1,700. The two combined for 110 touchdowns, both 14-0. Somebody's O must go.
He's in a ball. He's in a ball, and I hate them, dog. Let's go.
So we pick it up with Allen up 10-0 with DeSoto quarterback Desmond White. He'll take off. He's off to the races. 56 yards for the touchdown. DeSoto would lead 35-20 in the fourth quarter, but that was when Kyler Murray went to work. This one to Jalen Guyton. Guyton goes 68 yards for the score. And how about that? They're back in the game. Murray again would work his magic. This time to Will Rossi over the middle. Now watch this. Rossi heads into the end zone. The fumble. Josh Pettijohn is Johnny on the spot. Looks like he fumbled it. A little controversial, but they call it an Allen touchdown. And that's where Kyler Murray would cap off the day after a miscue on special teams. 11 seconds left. Murray takes it right down the middle for 24 yards in the score, and Allen wins a thriller, 42-35. So Allen with a miraculous win, going back to the title game, searching for their third ring since 2008. Let's get reaction.
You know, the kids fought extremely hard, you know, being down 15 points in the fourth quarter and you know, finding a way to win is what it's all about, and these guys did that today.
What does it just say about just the heart of this team that they were able to come back and pull off something like that in a game of this magnitude against a team like that?
You know, you have two heavyweights fighting against each other, and, you know, Desmond White had a heck of a game for DeSoto, and he has had a great run, and you know, it's all about stepping up and making plays, and we talked to our kids about that, and that's what they did. We talked to them. You know, the last team that stepped up and made plays against them was us, and so we did it again in the fourth quarter today.
Just Kyler, what can you say about that?
Not a lot. I mean, he's a competitive sucker. He is, you know, one thing he'll do is when the big stage is on, he's going to come to play, and that fourth quarter was the biggest stage we've had so far.
Sorry for the repetitiveness, but describe the touchdown.
Which one?
The last one.
Oh, you know, coach told me, you see it or you run it. And, I mean, I knew I was probably going to run it. You know, they're just getting in field goal range, which we already were, but make it easier on the kicker, and hole was open. I just took it.
Love Coach calling him a competitive sucker. So for the second year in a row, Allen knocks DeSoto out in the semifinals. Heartbreaking loss for Claude Mathis's bunch, who really had this game until Allen just snatched victory out of the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, and that's the mark of a champion. That's absolutely what Allen did. Now, they had to take it away. Also, DeSoto gave them a couple of opportunities. The big play down, and then, of course, what was really heartbreaking for DeSoto, the punt after forcing an Allen punt there with just over 4 minutes to go in the football game, and it takes a funny hop off the Memorial Stadium turf, hits one of the DeSoto Eagles. Allen Eagles recover. They go in after the game. Claude Mathis pretty broken up about it. In fact, somewhat inconsolable in talking with a friend of his, and said it was the most disappointing and most difficult loss he'd ever experienced. He said, I don't understand it. It was there. They had it, but somehow it slipped through their fingers. And credit Allen for being able to step up, down 15 in the fourth quarter, and to take it to move back to the state championship round.
Defending state champs looking to go wire to wire #1. So they will move on as we take a look at the bracket and face Pearland, who was down to San Antonio Madison all day long in Waco. We'll have highlights of that game a little bit later on. Madison falls to 0-4 in state semifinal play. Legendary coach Jim Streety, in his 40 seasons, has never gotten to the state title game. So, Craig, can Pearland do the unthinkable and beat a defending champ in Allen? Now, keep in mind, in the past, they beat a heavily favored Euless Trinity team in 2010, so they know all about this Dallas-Houston matchup.
Exactly, and you got to believe that Tom Westerberg is going to tell his team about that, saying, let's not let the opportunity get away from us when we have a chance to do it. Meanwhile, Tony Eat will say the same thing to his Pearland Oilers. Done it before. This program has shown that can knock off the Giant. They did it 3 years ago against Trinity, and of course it takes some late game heroics. The kickoff return for the touchdown by the Oilers with 1.5 minutes to go in the football game, uplifting them past Madison to move into the state championship round. Feel bad for Jim Streety and for the Madison Mavericks. You feel great for Pearland, obviously, for what they had to do to work their way back to the championship round.
Well, let's bring in Ahmad Vital of Scout.com. He joins us on the phone. Ahmad, how about the Pearland Oilers pulling off that win with a 97-yard kickoff return with 1:36 to go?
I'll tell you what, Rick, you can never sleep on this Pearland team. I think I heard you all mention, some years back whenever, this team was faced off against Euless Trinity and nobody gave them even a bit of a chance against that team, and they came out and was able to do those wins. So, Coach Tony Heath is going to have these guys ready each and every week, and they put together a great run. This team is just hanging around and making these plays, and man, hats off to Jacoby Lewis. He was doing it on the ground. He did it through with receiving, and a 97-yard touchdown with 1:36 left in the game. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you can't pre-write this kind of stuff. And Pearland has been a team that has always defied the odds and just been able to put together winning games when nobody else thought they could. And I think that this is another one of those years where they're trying to put together a similar type of run.
Ahmad, you brought up Lewis, and each team has to have a real bona fide playmaker in order to have a real shot at winning a state championship. Everybody knows about Kyler Murray being the playmaker for Allen, but tell folks a little bit about Lewis and what he did, not only in this semifinal, but what he's done all season long for the Oilers.
Well, Greg, it's with Pearland, there's not really just a singular playmaker over there. In years past, there was the Dustin Garrisons. Before that, it was the Foswith Whitaker. And before that, and many times it was Casey Carrier somewhere in between there as well. This team is just, somebody's got the hot hand at any given time. I can tell you on the defensive side that Oklahoma State commitment, Justin Phillips, he has been playing lights out for most of the year. But as far as offensive, they're just getting it done with a variety of guys. Lewis is just one of many. Jacoby Butler's looked good this year on several occasions, and they're really just getting it done. Just as when you say team football, this team is really just getting it done as a team. And, don't count them out against anything. Now, they know that they're going to have to pack a lunch or two to go against an Allen team that's just humming and hitting on all cylinders. But this is going to be one of those toss-up games where, anything can happen when you're talking about a Tony Heath-led team.
Thanks, Ahmad. Good stuff. Check them out at Scout.com. We'll have more with you a little bit later in the show. The Pearland team is interesting, Craig, similar to that 2010 title run. They only beat 3 good teams so far on the journey, Lamar, Cy-Fair, and now Madison. So pretty impressive run for these guys.
It's all about how you're playing at the end of the season, and they're certainly doing that, and that's made a big difference.
Hey, don't forget the Wrangler Road to the Championship reaches the finals in 11-man football. You will see all of the state title games on Fox Sports Southwest. Quadruple header on Thursday, triple header doubleheaders on Friday and Saturday. It's all part of the Wrangler Road to the Championship that culminates at Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. Let's take a break. Coming up next, some interesting scenarios. We could have a Katy Cedar Hill rematch or a showdown of Texas dynasties. Or how about a Cinderella with the slipper? Could Lady Bird pull off another upset? This would be the biggest one of the year. Find out next on Scoreboard Live.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Enjoy great savings during the Black Friday event. Ford is the best in Texas. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Be played exclusively at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Tickets are on sale right now. You can get them by going to Ticketmaster.com, or for more information, you can always go to UIL.org.
Part of the charm of playing for a state championship is that along the road to the state finals, you'll come across a team you haven't faced before in the playoffs. Such was the case in the 5A Division II semifinals, top half of the bracket. Of course, Cedar Hill, veterans to the playoff chase, and Lake Travis, their deepest run ever as a 5A after having that one-time, five-time state champions in 4A. But in their second season in 5A, Cedar Hill was up 6-0. Dominic DeLira to Dominic Packer in 7-6 Cavs. But in the fourth quarter, Lake Travis up 10-6, and Justin McMillan to DeMarcus Lodge. Nice catch there. It's 13-10. And then we're on the handoff in for the score. That would put it away. The Longhorns score in their final two possessions of the game, touchdowns to help Cedar Hill back to the state title round for a second straight year as they win it over Lake Travis 19-10.
Time now to bring in the People's Champ, pound for pound, one of the best coaches in the country, if not the world, Joey McGuire of the Cedar Hill Longhorns, who gets a rematch with Katy in the final. Joey, he joins us on the phone. Congratulations, my man. And how tough was this to outlast Lake Travis?
Man, thanks for having me. It was an incredible game. The atmosphere was both, we both had good crowds, and playing the last game in Floyd Casey Stadium was pretty special, but playing a team like Lake Travis, having 5 state championships and, just a storied program was really a really neat deal for our program.
The things that always comes to mind is adjustments that coaches and teams make throughout the course of a playoff game. Opening drives for each team results in touchdowns, and then your defense really clamped down on that explosive Lake Travis offense. It was the lowest offensive output of the year. What was the big difference for your defense in shutting down the Lake Travis offense after that initial drive?
Well, I think we were a little taken back, and we had worked on it all week, but they are one of those teams that they have that Oregon fast pace. They're trying to snap the ball so quick, get the ball set and snapped, and I think our kids were a little shocked at how fast they were doing it on that first drive. And, I think they started getting used to it and started getting the flow of the game. And we had some kids that really stepped up today. Richard Moore, junior linebacker, had an incredible game. I think he had 15 tackles. Xavier Washington, our defensive end, broke the school record for sacks today with 21 on the year. So those guys, man, they just did an incredible job.
Now you get the rematch with Katy. You had Katy beat last year in the fourth quarter. I want to bring that up. And then the mighty Tigers rallied and beat you guys. How much of a motivating factor has that been for you guys all year?
Well, we were so close. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm a high school football geek, and to be able to be on the same field with the Katy Tigers and Coach Joseph, I truly respect him, and I think he's an incredible man, an incredible coach. But it's been a motivating factor from the standpoint we're 6 minutes and 59 seconds away, had the lead, and we gave it up. Adam Taylor made a great run, and they ended up beating us, getting a touchdown even later in that game to beat us. So it's something we want to definitely finish off. We didn't care who we were playing. I mean, a lot of people say, did you want a rematch with Katy? I don't know many people that would want to play Katy over and over, but we just wanted to get back to the state game and have another shot at that title.
Thanks, Joey. Good luck and congratulations, buddy. Appreciate you spending the time with us as Joey goes for his second ring. Remember, he did it with William Cole back in the day. Well, you know, the best sign today was the one Katy ran through at Reliance Stadium in Houston in their game with San Antonio Johnson. You see, it read, "Great run, Johnson, but make no mistake, tune in next Saturday. Tigers play at 8. Let's go to H-Town. Lady Bird Johnson took out heavyweights, Smithson Valley, Brandeis, Steele on the way, but defending champ Katy just way too much on this day. Boy, do they have a 1-2 punch of running back in Kyle Porter and Rodney Anderson. Way too much for the Johnson Jaguars. Kyle Porter, he'll go 12 yards here. He had 126 yards in the game and 2 scores. This was all Katy. And then Rodney Anderson, the Texas A&M commit. Around the end, he'll go 78 yards for the touchdown here as he matriculates the football down the field. 225 yards for him and 3 touchdowns. Getting it done. And then to add even more, it's Wade. Wade's World getting in there. Calavig. And they held Johnson just 88 yards in this game. So it's like deja vu all over again as Katy will be back in the title game with Cedar Hill just like last year. Katy is 13-1 in state semifinal play, looking for their 8th state championship. They've scored at least 50 points in every single playoff game. Rodney Anderson and Kyle Porter have combined running game of 4,000 yards. They are awfully good. And with that, let's bring in Ahmad Vital. The mighty Katy Tigers, when you look at these guys, you've talked about them all year. They're a juggernaut. I just don't know if anybody can stop these guys.
Rick, that running game for them with Kyle Porter and Rodney Anderson, of course, with Rodney Anderson being, you know, the kind of the lead dog of that, man, it's just so tough. It's just so tough to stop them. That front line, when you watch them block, it's just there could be an instructional video for how to do zone blocking. No lie about that. When you watch them do what they have to do, and they just push teams around. And I mean, for goodness sakes, a lot of times their backs aren't getting touched till 5 yards after the line of scrimmage. And I mean, when you play against a team who's doing it like that, it's really tough to beat them when they're able to run the ball with that type of authority and with that kind of force.
Ahmad, one thing that you can always say about Gary Joseph is he's an old defensive coach, and the defense has been so strong throughout the playoffs. 52 points in a state semifinal is one thing. Giving up 0 in a Final Four game speaks an awful lot about what this Tiger defense is all about, doesn't it?
No doubt, Craig, and linebacker Jake Blomstrom leads a great group along with Tim Wilkerson at defensive end and Colin Wilder in the secondary. Those guys are a prideful group. Yes, Coach Joseph has been a defensive mastermind for so many years, but this defensive unit they have there is very close, like they have for many years apart. When you get yards on them, they take offense to that. They play this defense like none other. These guys come out every week and they expect to do well, and they don't take any shorts with that. So when these guys show up on the field, they're all about business. They feel like it's their job to get the offense the ball back, and they do not like giving up touchdowns, and they definitely don't like anybody running on them. So it's a very stingy defense, very prideful defense, and as we can see, year after year, and definitely for this year, it has paid off very well for the Katy Tigers.
Going to be a lot of fun to see them against Cedar Hill again. We'll see what happens. Repeat or revenge. Thanks, Ahmad. Break time on Scoreboard Live. Coming up next, we'll venture into Class 4A. What a showdown of the state's best 2 defenses between Stratford and Brenham. That's right. They've only allowed 4 touchdowns by their defense all year, Brennan. And we will talk about defending state champ Denton Geyer, who is in trouble with Highland Park, who prevails and sails into the finals after this.
Friday night action between Stratford, those surprising Spartans from Houston, taking on powerful San Antonio Brenham. They just showed it right there. Derek Robinson with a sack. And then more trouble. Another sack. More Brenham pressure. Freddie Price pays the price. Sacked by Robinson again. Brenham was already up 24-7 in the 4th quarter. Deshaun Key on the snap, on the option, and forget about it. 55 yards for the touchdown. Brenham rolls to its first ever state final with a 31-7 win over Stratford.
On the other side of the bracket, defending state champion Denton Geyer, who started the season 0-2 and lost a player in an accidental shooting, overcame so much to get here, while Highland Park opened up with a blowout loss to number 1 Aledo and then rattled off 13 straight wins to get into the Final Four. Let's go to Allen, where the Skies jumped on the Wildcats in the first half of this one. We We pick it up in the fourth. Scott's up 10-zip. Geyer looking to change that. Anthony Taylor gets the handoff from Gerard Hurd, and he will cut in for the 23-yard touchdown run. And just like that, it's a 3-point game. Then later in the fourth, Hurd fakes the handoff this time, keeps it himself. He's so good, one of the best at it in the state. 25-yard touchdown run as Geyer takes the lead for the first time. But the Scots would respond, driving all the way from their own 33-yard line. Stephen D finishes it off with the run up the middle. Highland Park regains the lead. They lead it by 2 with 2 minutes to go in the game. 2-minute drill time, and that means it's Gerard Hurd time, the future Longhorn. He would get it into the end zone. They get the successful 2-point conversion. Geyer takes the lead 22-16, and after being shut out for the first 3 quarters, the Wildcats turn it on. They had 22 points in the fourth quarter. So Geyer is going to the state title game for the 3rd time in 4 years. That's good coaching, Craig.
I think that has a lot to do with it. Speaking of which, head coach of those Wildcats, John Walsh, joins us now. John, let me get your thoughts, first of all, on the resiliency your team had to rally in the fourth quarter and put 22 points on the board when you needed it.
Well, it was really unfamiliar territory for us this year. We've had lots of, most of our games we've had a lead, but we kind of drew back on some past history of our program, and we've been behind before in big playoff games, and John Tyler last year, and even the title game last year. So we just set our stick together, grind it out, and let's get to the fourth quarter, keep it close, and we'll find a way to try to pull this thing off.
You've had some special quarterbacks over the years. Of course, J.W., your son, who's at Oklahoma State. But how about this Gerard Hurd kid? How special is he, and the fact that he kind of runs this thing, and no matter what the situation, you feel like you can win?
Yeah, Gerard, special is a good word for him. He seems to find, he's one of those guys in the fourth quarter that if it's tied, or he has no problem putting the team on his back, and he's a winner. And today, things weren't going well the first 3 quarters for him or us, and I think a true sign of a winner and a great quarterback is to be able to pull himself out in that game and find a way to win, and that's what he did today.
John, it's a group of a different sort that you face. This Brenham team, which I might have taken a few people by surprise, but I know you're familiar with them. What are your initial impressions when you look at what Brenham has on tape for you?
Man, it's wow. We got back tonight, started watching some film, and they're talented. I mean, they're on both sides of the ball. They got Division I football players. They're very well coached, and I think it's a great matchup between us and San Antonio Brenham, and I think it's going to be a great fan game to watch.
All right. Hey, John, thanks for the time. We appreciate you joining. Congratulations on making it to the 4A Division I state final game. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
All right. Another great run, huh?
Third state title game in 4 years. I mean, you can't sneeze at that. These guys are always in the mix. And he has a tough schedule early on in the year. It doesn't seem to matter if they drop a couple games.
This is a guy who has built the program from the ground up, understands what it takes, and his program understands as well. He talked about how his team is really collected and that they don't really panic. They needed big, and what a great effort by Highland Park and Randy Allen's ball club. It was a tremendous effort by them to take Geyer all the way to the wire before the Wildcats were able to rally and get past it. John Walsh is right. This is going to be a fabulous 4A Division I state championship game next Friday night.
And there's a reason why you have defending state champ in front of your name at Den Geyer and Allen. We see that. It's tough to take out the champ. Let's take a timeout. Coming up next, we will check Division II of Class 4A. The Brenham Cubs are on a mission. Can they get past the Port Lavaca Calhoun Sand Crabs? Plus, the nation's top scoring team doesn't score in a quarter for the first time all year. Would number 1 Aledo survive? Find out next.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by the new Wrangler Premium Performance Advanced Comfort Jeans, available at Cavender's and Cavenders.com.
Next up, 4A Division II, bottom half of the bracket. Brennan, how about the fake field goal? Quarterback Caleb Hill, the holder, and finds James Holman for the score. It'd be that kind of night for the Cubs. They were on it. Hill to the air. Trevante Johnson with a nice leaping grab over the defender in the air zone. And how about some defense? Eric Yeager bursting through the line, forces the fumble. Braden Baird there to scoop it up, and he'll rumble in for the score. and then Ernest Patterson will seal it for Brenham on the ground. Hits the corner, takes it in from 20 yards out. The Cubs end a great season for the Fighting Sand Crabs of Port Lavaca Calhoun. Brenham with a win. Brenham wins at 56-21.
Boy, you look at those Cubs, they've rolled off 14 straight wins after surprising loss to Foster in the opener. How'd that happen? The Cubs are legit with wins over Texas City, George Ranch, both were unbeaten, led by 2,000-yard passer Caleb Thrill Hill. We just assumed they would play the #1 team in the land, Aledo, in the final, because Aledo set the state and national record for most scoring points in a season. But here's the funny thing. We have not seen this all year. Aledo did not score points in a quarter. In fact, they were scoreless with Ennis at halftime. How about that? But they still have a chance to be the first team in the country to get to 1,000 points as they add to 985. But Ennis did a heck of a job with their running backs of slowing down Aledo in this one, Greg.
And then Aledo got it in high gear in the second half and was able to pull away from Ennis to win it 29-6. So after all is said and done, after the smoke clears, the dust settles, whatever you want to say, it is still, after all, Aledo in the state championship round to take on that Brenham Cub team next Saturday at noon.
Kind of a surprise, maybe a little bit of a wake-up call, but Ennis, you know, they had an advantage coming into this one. They had 8 days to prepare because they played on Thursday, where Aledo had the short week, playing on Monday with all the crazy weather in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
I also did not see this being one of those Aledo blowouts going into the game of being a 40-50 point. I mean, they have some respect for Ennis for everything the Lions have done this year. Aledo's still the best team and #1 until proven otherwise, and Brennan gets the next shot next week.
Yeah, Ennis going into that game, they said they weren't scared of the #1 team. Well, they played like it for a half. Coming up next on Scoreboard Live, we could have an all-East Texas final with Kilgore and Carthage. But unbeaten LaGrange and Stephenville have other ideas. We'll break down AAA after the break.
High School Scoreboard Live continues. We move to Class 3A Division I. Chilly afternoon in Corsicana for the Raging Red of Kilgore against defending state champion Stephenville. No score until Aaron Foy has other ideas. Takes it all the way down to set up Kevin Justice for a short touchdown run. 7-0 Dogs. Next, Kilgore possession. Benny Colbert to Foy in for the 47-yard touchdown. As you see it here, 47 yards on the strike and in for the score. 14-0. Now in the second quarter, Kilgore leading 21-0, and it's Kevin Justice again. Bouncing off a couple of tackles, makes a nice cut, 53 yards. It's 27-0 in the second quarter. The run for Stephenville over. Kilgore moving to the 3A Division I final round with a win over Stephenville. Trying to make it an all-East Texas final. Carthage, of course, they're always a threat in Class 3A. Blake Bogan shoots to T. Gorey for the 20-yard touchdown run, taking on the 20-yard touchdown pass. And yes, you know, it's late in the playoffs when you got the Santa outfits going. For LaGrange, Dylan Davis to Rodney Fillmore in the end zone for the score. But back comes Carthage. Just too much from the Dogs as Bogan shoots to Gorey again, 45 yards on the catch and run. And then it's Bogan shoots to Keldine Strong, 45 yards here for the score. Carthage cruises to the 3A Division I title round with a 51-22 win over LaGrange. So now you got it, an all-East Texas throwdown at high noon at AT&T Stadium in Arlington next Friday. Kilgore and Carthage.
What a job Scott Surratt has done, huh? 4th title in 6 years. 29-3 in the playoffs in 7 years of coaching there. Bogan shoots, by the way, 55 touchdowns. It's a school record, only 3 interceptions. In 3A Division II, #1 Argyle advances to another state title game, and Fairfield gets over a good baseball program in Sinton, who had a good football team this year. The Eagles are in uncharted territory. They passed the 1991 Southlake Carroll team for most points scored by a 3A school. That's the first title game for them in school history. Well, a reminder about the Wrangler Road to the Championship. We're all over it here on Fox Sports Southwest. We're going to be broadcasting all of the games. It will continue as we crown champions in 11-man football from 1A all the way to 5A next week starting on Thursday. Join us for all the fun live from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The Wrangler Road to the Championship is completed next week on Fox. Back after this.
While it may be state championship weekend next weekend, not for six-man at AT&T Stadium. It was six-man championship this weekend. Kroll and May, and how about Mitchell Parsley hooking it up with Nathan Moya for the score. 29-yard touchdown, Kroll the early lead. Now in the second quarter, it's 14-8. Parsley bobbled the snap, no problem. Tosses to Daniel Clark. Nice cut, 16-yard touchdown run. Boy, don't you like the temporary striping there at AT&T Stadium there for six-man? The toss back. It's 48-22 in the third quarter. Parsley, a great block, stiff arm in for the score, extending the Wildcats' lead. They got close to 45 of them. May had a run late in the game to keep it from getting to the mercy rule, but Kroll gets its first ever state championship as they won 78-22. You know, Kroll's first ever playoff win was back in 1934. They won 44-13 in by-district over Plano.
Wow.
Back then.
You were back there covering
Yeah,
that
right.
game.
Well, Kroll, you know, was great. They had a very fast, big team as well. As they like to say out there, Rico, Kroll Tide.
Yeah, how about Kroll Tide? You know, what about that whole experience? You did both games on FoxSportsSouthwest.com. Just your take on how it was pulled off at that huge venue.
I thought it was pulled off great when the way that AT&T Stadium set it up. Yes, you have to set up the temporary yard lines for folks who aren't familiar with it. You have some rules changes. The dimensions are tighter. It's an 80-yard field by 40 yards wide instead of 100 by 53 in the third. But the fans really got into it. Kroll alone, a town of only a few hundred, sold over 1,000 tickets. They had over 8,000 there. In fact, there were more people at the six-man state championships, six-man in Texas, than there were at Conference 6A in Florida for their state championships. Says an awful lot about Texas high school football and six-man in particular.
Pretty darn impressive. Well, meanwhile, in Division II of six-man, Grand Falls Royalty took on perennial power Milford, who's playing in their fifth state championship game. Grand Falls has only 26 kids in their high school, counting boys and girls. The second smallest school in the state. Allen, they got about 6,000. This is less than 500 people in that city, but the funny thing, like you were talking about, 8,000 people showed up at AT&T Stadium to see it. So maybe the cows came too. Here's Neil Beasley with the DQ Big Game of the Week.
This week's DQ Big Game of the Week is nothing less than a state final.
Knock them down if they get in your way. Let's go.
AT&T Stadium used to hosting big games and plenty of state championship action, but not like this. It's six-man action. Born and bred out west in cowboy country, now at the home of the Cowboys.
Cowboys, 1, 2, 3, Cowboys!
The six-man game is full of wonderful quirks. The goalposts are pulled in. The field is not as wide. This is your out of bounds. And if you get to the Cowboys end zone, you've gone too far. The goal line in six-man is at the 10. The Milford Bulldogs in dogged pursuit of a title. Coach Ronnie Crumpton, a Milford grad. 117 wins, just 52 losses at the helm of his alma mater. Number 4, Jacob Essery, an all-stater. His dad, Lewis, in a pair of state title games in the 90s. Meanwhile, number 7, Jacarvis Gates, his uncle won a pair in 1979 and 1980. 1, 2, 3, do it! But the Grand Falls Royalty Cowboys want the title this year. High school enrollment of just 30 folks, not 30 on the team. The enrollment is 30. 18 of those suiting up in red tonight. How good are these guys? They've held 9 opponents to single-digit scores or shutouts. Now that's in six-man play. Wow. Oh, and they've never punted once all year long. But if head coach Joe Helms wants his first title here, he'll have to outbite these dogs.
Don't let the situation be bigger than you. All you've got to do is that first play is beat the man across from you. You understand that? Yes, and then just when they blow that whistle, what you're going to do the next time? You're going to do it again. And then you're going to do it again. And then what's going to happen? You're going to look over there at the scoreboard, and the game's going to be over. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay? You take care of what you can take care of. Everything else take care of yourself.
Yes,
you
sir.
got it?
Yes, sir.
Man, you got to knock the crap out of somebody.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3, go on!
First half, GR is okay. Senior Gilbert Nunez going up top. Julian Helms with the catch and score, 8-zip Cowboys. And Grand Falls Royalty gets a 3 and out. Then back on offense, Thomas Burns to sophomore Nieves Rodriguez. And check out Helms' block. Rodriguez does the rest, 16-0. Milford needs to unleash the hounds, but Essery can do nothing against that Cowboy D. Another punt, and another Grand Falls Royalty score. Junior Marquez, 28 yards and in, 24-0. In fact, Marquez adds a 9-yarder after the Cowboys converted an onside kick. His only 2 scores, but 228 yards rushing. Oh my cow. Photographer Jeff Irwin and producer Clark Rowe worried this one might be over. But wait, no, these dogs still hungry. Esselry with it. He gone 43 of his 114 rushing yards. In fact, looking for some momentum just before half. The coach's cousin, Eric Evans, finds Gates in the end zone. Touchdown Milford just 43 seconds before half. But is it too much time left for Grand Falls Royalty? Last play of the half. Burns looking to burn the dogs. Deep to Helms. Got it. What a grab. Cowboy faithful can feel it now. 52-14. Grand Falls Royalty at the break. Second half, Milford playing for pride now. In fact, the Bulldogs put up the 3rd most points on GR all year long. But they just can't stop the Cowboy stampede. Morales almost goes down, somehow finds Rodriguez. Ball game, literally ball game. 6-man ends whenever one team goes up by 45 or more after halftime. So it is 73-28 your final. Grand Falls Royalty is 6-man royalty now.
It was amazing. I mean, we just wanted to come out here and play. I mean, yeah, this is all great and all, but we knew it had to be one more game. We were just going to come out here and play our game and do work.
My nerves, they didn't go away till like maybe the end of the first quarter. Honestly, it was, I don't know, it took a while, but I finally got it out of me, played the football like I was supposed to, and got this.
I've been to the state game before I lost. I didn't want that feeling. When we had the chance to close the game, we didn't, and I kept on telling myself I don't want that feeling again. I want to make sure I need to do it again, and we did it, and we're state champs.
Phenomenal effort today. You know, the kids are doing exactly what we needed them to do. Everyone to the managers, to everyone. You know, it's just a great team effort.
Hey, you hate to see a football season end, but if it's gonna end, you might as well finish off with a state title. For photographer Jeff Irwin and producer Clark Rowe, I'm Neil Beasley with your final DQ Big Game of the Week.
Thank you, Beezer. Make sure you join Neil, Jeff, and Clark for the Christmas special, looking back at some of the great DQ moments. That's coming up this Wednesday on Fox Sports Southwest, and then the following weeks to come. What a way to win your first title on the big stage, huh?
Oh, they certainly did it, and they were incredibly impressive. This is one of those things where you'd love to see the Division I champion play the Division II champion, because Kroll winning the Division I state championship, very dominant fashion, and Grand Falls winning it in what they call 45 of them, the walk-off there, as they win by 45 points. So it'd be great to see them, but 2 great state champions.
Maybe that mercy rule would have helped those people that were having all those bullying charges against Toledo earlier on. There was talk about that. Let's take a break. Coming up next, we will tell you who's representing in Class 2A for the state championship game. Refugio and record-setting quarterback Travis Quintanilla gunning for more records and more state title bling after this.
We move on in Class 2A in Division I. Nice, if cold, afternoon for Cisco taking on Leonard. It was 7-0 Cisco Lobos, looking to add more. Colton Kent with the nice moves, 49 yards for the score, and Cisco leads it 14-0. No problem at all with the Lobo offense, and then they continue to turn the corner again. Big rumbles downfield. It ends Leonard's best season in school history, and Cisco back in its 2nd title game in 3 years.
On the other side of the bracket, Refugio and the record-setting quarterback Travis Quintanilla taking on Wasco. This one was played at Reliance Stadium. Trace Carter goes 54 yards here on the TD run. Wasco would be up early in this one, 7-0. But you know Travis Quintanilla is going to get it going. He holds almost every single passing record in the state of Texas. Career yards, career touchdowns, TDs in a game. And after this game, he set the mark for yards in a season. 30 yards there to Devin LaFrance, and then later to Tyler Castellano. 28-14 Refugio, and they go on to score big and win it 69-33. Remember, they took out the #1 in defending state champ East Menard last week.
And what you have there in 2A Division II is a rematch of 2 years ago. Remember Refugio's record-breaking season 2 years ago? Cisco played them to win 1 point, 36-35. It was a great game 2 years ago. Every reason to believe it'll be a great game again this time around. on to D1, and that means the defending state champions from Cameron. There they are, the Yeomen, taking on the White Oak Roughnecks. Roughnecks Dylan Gale to Gabe Michael, 2-yard touchdown pass, and White Oak leads it by a score of 7-0. White Oak with the punt, but it's blocked by Samari Wright. The Yeomen take over deep in Roughneck territory, and then Trayon Smith on the direct snap in for the score. The game was tied at 7. Roughnecks answer. Gale to Michael, 38 yards, the catch and in for the score. It's 14-7 Roughnecks. They were up 21-7 at the half. Yeomen within 21-14, and then it's Smith in for a 20-yard run to tie the score at 21. Michael Evans, a 36-yard field goal. Yeomen up, and that's the margin of victory. Back in the state title round with a 24-21 win.
And congratulations to White Oak, by the way. Best season for them since 1970. Yo had that one slip up in the regular season to Lago Vista, who took out a couple of heavyweights this year. Do you think that helped the defending champs to refocus themselves and get back there?
I think it did. However, you see what they're going to face in the state championship as New Boston's great season ended when they ran into the Wall Hawks, that is, from the Concho Valley. Going to make their first ever state championship appearance. And don't sleep on this Wall group. This will be quite the challenge for Yo in the 2A Division I state championship.
Sounds like yeoman's work. All right, let's take a break. Coming up next, we will move on to Class 1A action. As Craig Way says, Death, Texas, Mart, and Tenaha. They're always around this time of year. Do they advance? Find out next.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by the new Wrangler Premium Performance Advanced Comfort Jeans, available at Cavender's and Cavenders.com.
We dropped the Class A and the Division II bracket. Tenaha, perennial powerhouse, but how about the Falls City Beavers? They've won before, and Justin Twine with a 20-yard touchdown run. 6-zip Falls City after the missed two-pointer. Twine's a TCU commit. In baseball, Scary, that's his first sport, because watch him here. He's the kid nobody can tackle. Across the field. Started on one side, weaving back across to the opposite side of the field. 76 yards by the time he's done to give the Beavers a 14-7 lead. Twine will get another as the first half comes to an end. And Falls City wins a game that went back and forth in the second half. They knock off Tenaha 36-34. The Beavers are going to the 1A Division II final, and the reward is to face top-ranked, undefeated Wellington, who rumbled past a really good Albany team, the Skyrockets and the Beavers, in the 1A Division II state final.
The all-nickname bowl. Meanwhile, the Shiner Comanches outshine Mart in their 5th straight trip to the state semifinals. The Panthers trailing 28-24. Jacob Stafford goes over there for the touchdown. Then Mart trying to come back. Denarian Thomas, and no doubting Thomas is about it. This guy can run. That's a 25-yard run inside the Shiner 3. But on the next play, Thomas hit, fumbles the ball, recovered, Shiner in the end zone, and the Comanches turn that into points. Mart cuts the lead, though, after a 4-yard touchdown by Thomas. And then in the 4th, Shiner would shine. Marcus Coleman and company would put together a long touchdown run, and the Panthers will not make their 2nd straight appearance in the state championship final. The Comanches, they win it 49-22. So waiting for Shiner, defending state champ Stanford. And remember, Stanford beat Mart last year in the state title game, so Shiner will attempt to take out last year's finalists in back-to-back weeks.
Well, you talk about the 2 Conference A state championship matchups, 1A Division II. As I mentioned, Falls City against Wellington, #1 team in the state, and they've looked the parts every week. And then in that Division I matchup that'll start the whole state championship parade off at 10 o'clock next Thursday morning, give Shiner a lot of credit. Very impressive along the way to take out Mason and then to knock out Mart to get to the state title round and to take on, after all is said and done, Wayne Hutchinson's ball club at Stanford. Is just like so steady all season long and found a way to wind their way back to the state championship.
I remember a long time ago you said they'll be in the final. Just watch. You'll see them back in the state championship again. Well, back to wrap it up on High School Scoreboard Live, if you keep it where it is.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Enjoy great savings during the Black Friday event. Ford is the best in Texas. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Scoreboard Live rolls on with the State Farm finalists by city. The DF Dub is running away with it. They got 5 still remaining in the state championship games, representing with the team in both divisions in Class 5A and 4A, I might add, with Argyle doing it in lower classifications. The greater Houston area with Katy and Pearland. San Antonio lost 2 teams today, but Brenham will play for all the marbles and carrying the flag for the Alamo City.
Hey, how about the greater San Angelo area? They have Wall out there, so there's plenty there.
Ahead of Austin.
Speaking of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, in the 5A Division I final, this might have been the play that turned it. Allen punting in a 35-35 tie under 2 minutes to go in the ballgame, and it hits one of the DeSoto Eagles inadvertently. Watch it again. It was almost blocked to begin with. Now watch it come down and strike one of the DeSoto players. Desmond White was settling under to field the punt, but when it comes down, it'll accidentally hit one of the DeSoto players. Allen, Johnny on the spot. They hop on it. It sets up what proves to be the game-winning touchdown run for Kyler Murray as they win it 42-35 to get back to the state championship round.
It's really crazy. So many things went wrong, for DeSoto late in that game, and they've had such an amazing year. Last year, they lost in the state semifinals against Allen, so it's the same story over again. But they were leading by 15 points under the 9-minute mark, and they thought they had this thing won. And there's Allen. They got the big 68-yard touchdown to Guyton, and then Kyler Murray was just, smooth and not really rattled at all. He knew that they could get back and win this game.
So they're back in the final. Katy is back in the final. There's some old and some new in there as well. In the lower classifications, Cameron Yoa, defending state champion, is back. And, you have powerhouses to watch as well. It's going to be a great state championship weekend next weekend in Arlington.
Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you join us next week as we crown 10 state champions on Fox Sports Southwest. Craig Way will be doing a lot of the play-by-play on 9 of the games. Randy McElvoy, Shea Walker, and many others. We got quadruple headers on Thursday, triple headers on Friday and Saturday. We will be all over it on Fox Sports Southwest. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. We will see you starting Thursday.